Hello again. Rebecca Mills here with Utah State University Extension to share some wellness wisdom to help you meet your health goals. Today's topic is mindful eating. In this session, we'll answer the question, what is mindful eating? As well as explore the topics of the benefits of it, tips on being more mindful when we eat, and lastly, where you can go for more resources, support, and information on the subject. Let's get started. To begin our discussion, I want to first give you a little quiz. These questions will help you see if you are a mindful eater or not. Rate yourself on a scale of all the time to almost never, like it shows at the top of the chart. Alright, so number 1, I tend to stop eating when I'm full. Number 2, I eat when I'm hungry rather than emotional. Number 3, I try not to pick at food. Number 4, I taste each bite before reaching for the next. Number 5, when I eat, I think about how nourishing the food is for my body. Number 6, I am non-judgmental of myself, my body, and of when I accidentally overeat. Number 7, I don't multitask while I eat. When I eat, I just eat. Number 8, I don't have to eat everything on my plate. I can leave what I don't want. Number 9, I tend to eat slowly, chewing every bite. And number 10, I recognize when I slip into mindless eating, when I'm zoned out or just popping food into my mouth. So how'd you do? I'm a big promoter of self-awareness activities like this, whether it's tracking your spending so you can set a budget or tracking your food so you can know what and how much you are eating. When we take a moment to reflect and be honest with ourselves about our current behavior, that's when we can make some serious progress in setting goals and making behavior changes if we need to. But until we are honest with ourselves about where we are and why we are in this place, we'll have a really difficult time getting anywhere else. This quiz was eye-opening for me. There are a few things on here where my answers were more on the sometimes side of the scale than I'd like them to be. Guess I have some work to do too. Now let's get a little more specific about the subject of mindfulness and how it relates to our eating habits. The principle of mindfulness relates back to Buddhism ideals of being fully aware of what is happening around you at the moment. Relating that to food, it would include things like noticing the colors, smells, flavors, textures, chewing slowly, or learning to cope with guilt and anxiety about food. It's not a diet plan, and there are no menus or recommended food restrictions. It's much more about your mental outlook regarding food and creating nourishing, positive experiences with food. Now let's talk about the benefits, as there is some research out there to indicate positive effects related to mindful eating. When you start looking into it, you might think the principles are a little hard to believe or awkward to implement personally, or at least that's how it was for me. For example, true mindful eating would suggest noticing the texture of your food with each bite. I attended a class one time that taught mindful eating principles, and the teacher had us each analyze a raisin as we were eating it. Before we could eat it, we were to notice the wrinkles, the color, and the smell, and then when we put it in our mouth, we were to feel the texture with our tongue, chew slowly, and take note of it if it was chewy or sweet or soft, etc., etc. Those are experiences that I'm not used to having with my food, and I felt a little silly at first, even thinking about how the wrinkles on the raisin were formed and describing what it felt like to eat it, as these ideas were pretty foreign to me at the time. I recognize, though, even from taking that little quiz earlier, that I could improve my personal experience with food, and I can also see how doing so could lead to the benefits listed here. I guess it comes down to what tools you want to use to reach your goals. This concept is probably one of many that could work for you. So, to the list of benefits. First, overeating. One of the things that happens when we're not eating mindfully is we are not listening to our body's cues for hunger. It takes our bodies about 20 minutes to decide that we are full, which means that if we are eating really fast and are just eating to eat, we may not realize until it's too late that we are over full. Another thing is if we are really thinking about how much we're enjoying each bite of our food, we might realize on bite 4 that we've had enough, and that we aren't as satisfied by the taste. That's when you can stop eating that food, rather than just eating because the food is in front of you. Second, weight loss. Probably won't be a surprise to know that if we aren't eating as much because we are being more mindful of what we're eating, there is the potential to lose weight or reduce your body mass index by reducing your body fat percentage. How would that be? To think you can lose weight by using your mind. Of course, pairing these improved food habits with exercise and healthy food choices will up your odds as well. Third, there's some evidence to suggest that mindful eating can help individuals cope with chronic eating problems like anorexia and bulimia. A lot of times we have deep emotional connections to our food. It may represent comfort or happiness or guilt in your mind. Working through some of those issues and taking the time to think through the question of, why am I eating this right now, can help build healthy connections with food and heal those unhealthy issues from the past. The fourth reason here relates back to reason number 1 and number 2. When we improve our eating habits, those symptoms of chronic illnesses such as type 2 diabetes may also improve. And lastly, improving digestion and nutrient absorption. Because digestion is a complicated process related to the hormonal and chemical balances in our body, it happens slower than we are typically giving our bodies time for. Some information suggests that when we eat too fast or are not mindful in our eating habits, it doesn't really matter what we're eating, because our bodies are not taking the time to absorb the nutrients properly. I thought that was a really interesting thought, and it makes sense to me. Think about a time when you've eaten a meal while multitasking and not really even enjoyed it or felt satisfied. That feeling of enjoyment or satisfaction comes from chemical and hormonal releases in the brain. When we are too distracted to notice those things, we miss out on the benefit altogether. And further, this suggests that we may not only be missing out on the satisfaction, but also the nutrients, which is an even bigger deal. You're spending good money to feed your family nutritious things, but maybe missing some of that by simply eating dinner with the TV on? Whoa, that's an interesting thought. Next, I'd like to share some practical tips on improving your mindful eating skills. The great thing about this principle is that you can do it to the extent that you're comfortable with or have reasonable time for. Recognizing where you have room for improvement is a great place to start and a great modeling behavior if you have kids or others in your home that follow your lead when it comes to food. Here are a few questions to ask yourself. First, why do I want to eat now? This is where you are trying to retune into your body's cues about hunger. Are you really hungry, or are you bored or feeling emotional? It could be that you're just thirsty. Practicing some self-restraint at times, rather than jumping at every craving, can help break poor habits. Next, what do I want to eat? This is the issue when you open the fridge door and stare at the food until you just grab whatever, hoping it will satisfy you. You'll actually be more satisfied with whatever you choose if you can identify what it is you want. Do you want something salty or sweet or crunchy? Of course, you always have choices of good, better, and best when it comes to the actual food item you choose. But if you're first clued into what you're wanting and then clued into how satisfied it is making you, chances are you'll eat less of it. One article I read talked about a lady who would eat a frozen meal for lunch every day. The woman kept a stack of meals in the freezer and just grabbed the one on top. But often she found herself snacking afterward. When the woman started thinking mindfully about which meal she specifically wanted for lunch that day, she was surprised to find that she did have preferences, and that she was less inclined to snack when she listened to them. Next, how much am I enjoying this food right now? As you eat, think about how satisfying the food is on a scale of 1 to 10, and you might be surprised at how soon the food stops being so tasty. And like I said before about overeating, when we are paying attention to these clues from our body, it can make a big difference in the long run. Fourth, how full am I? On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being famished and 10 being uncomfortably full, it's recommended that we should be between a 5 and 7 when we've finished a meal, meaning that we're satisfied with no reason to eat more. You could eat more if the food is really good, but you don't need to, so don't. This is where chewing thoroughly and eating slowly comes in. Research shows that how long you take to eat something may be just as important to how full you feel as how much you eat. Let me say that again. Research shows that how long you take to eat may be just as important to how full you feel as how much you actually ate. And lastly, why did I eat that? Or why did I eat that much? Like I mentioned before, we have a lot of emotional connection to our food. And when we're emotionally connected, that can bring happiness or guilt. So say you go crazy eating ice cream and stuff yourself to a 9 instead of a 5 or 6. Don't spend the next hour beating yourself up over it. Rather, take notice of it and think for a minute about the reason you did it, so that next time you're experiencing that same trigger, you can make a different choice. Use the knowledge to improve your future food experiences instead of damage your confidence. Other things to consider when applying mindful eating principles are things like we covered in the quiz earlier, and also to be conscious even about the way you think and speak about food. Negative thoughts can trigger overeating or cause you to become out of tune with your body's cues. Also, when we use quote-unquote fat talk, we might unknowingly be perpetuating issues or emotions in others that have food issues. And by fat talk, I mean things like, I'm so fat, or the debate with other people of, I'm fat, well, no, you're not, yes, I am, no, you're not. Or even things like, hey, have you lost weight? Which implies to the person you're speaking to that they needed to lose weight. Our minds and our words are really powerful things. Use them with caution. If you're interested in learning more about this subject, there's quite a bit of information available either in print or online. There are blogs, books, support groups, institutions of health, and on and on. This is a list of 8 books recommended by Dr. Susan Albers. Her name came up in several areas and articles that I read as an industry expert on the subject, and I have quoted quite a bit of her material in this session. Simple online searches will also bring up many articles and tip sheets for help in breaking poor habits. If this is an area you wish to improve in your life, you might look into some of these resources. In summary, today we've covered how mindful eating is about being more aware of what, how, and why you're eating, and that evidence shows that certain benefits of mindful eating include a decrease in overeating, an increase in weight loss, and a possible increase in nutrient absorption. Some tips to help you be more mindful include being attentive while you're eating, eliminating multitasking, and simply taking more time to enjoy your food. And lastly, there are lots of resources available in a variety of formats if you're interested in learning more about this subject. This has been Rebecca Mills with Utah State University Extension, sharing some wellness wisdom about mindful eating. Thanks for watching. Now go out and make it a healthy day.